So what we're looking at to date is that most of the learning in schools was about reading, remembering, and then actually sitting the test. So it was a very, very simple learning process. You read something or you got told something. So that was the first thing. Yeah, there was information. You had to remember that off by heart. And then in the test, they would check out how well you were doing that off by heart. And the trick here, of course, is that we are now using our worst learning system. This is one down the bottom. The one that's extremely poor and inequitable was the one we used, because we had to convince 80% of people that they weren't very smart, which sounds really bizarre, but that was actually what the process was all about, to convince them that they actually weren't particularly smart and they would go and actually work in the Industrial Revolution and contribute to the workforce there. For very little pay, of course. So that was what was going on. That was the precursor. And we've pretty much followed that process of focusing on remembering. That's been the focus of most of what we've done in our schools. Primary schools over the last possibly 20 years have made significant shifts in this space. Our secondary colleagues out there, you have not yet sort of grasped the importance now of understanding. So we've shifted the end point in the last 20 years from knowing, and now that we all have a device or a phone in our pocket, we can find that stuff in a moment. We don't need to remember all that stuff anymore because it's in my phone. I don't know about you, but if I lost my phone tomorrow and was, I couldn't get it for some reason for 2 weeks, I'm not quite sure I could even function in my business. It just wouldn't work. I couldn't access people. I couldn't access information. I couldn't access dates, times, places, spaces, road closures, you name it. So what's happened in the last 20 years is we've gone from a very simplistic learning process to a learning process now that is incredibly complex. And if you want to get an idea of how complex, here's an outline of what it looks like.